So there we go. We can kind of continue to massage and play with some of these parameters to, continue to push on some of these pieces. The other thing we could also do, right, if we want to actually change our world's orientation, is that we can rotate our world around. So if we want to look at a different part of it. Now, this particular technique doesn't rely on us rendering the world. We can also use just a regular old movie file in for this process as well. Alt-N. Oh, bother. I thought that was going to do a little bit of really great magic there. Let's scoot that over. If we swap in our banana instead, right, this becomes our background. We don't need to render the world for this. And we can see that we similarly have some crazy distortion-y kind of approaches. Now, the banana is not a great example, but we could maybe swap out for, say, our lovely Trillium instead. And we have a similar kind of approach. So we don't need the whole world for this approach. But it is a kind of tricksy way that we can play with that. Now, we used our constant over here, which was lovely. But what happens if we switch materials for, say, a Fong? And let's say on this Fong, we took our shininess parameter and we turned it down a little bit. We got some more hot spots. Swapped that into our null. This gives us a slightly more matte kind of effect here. And it's going to give us just a slightly ever so different characteristic in our actual render. If we turn this on in our background and we keep it on here on our torus, we can see just pure constant and our Fong. I like this particular approach because if we were, say, instead with our torus, let's make a new torus. Torus party. And on this torus, we could do something fun, right? Like we might go ahead and do our texturing early on. Let's check. What do we use? We used a orthographic texture type. Great. I'm going to go ahead and turn the 4080. Great. I want the radius to go up just a little bit, but down I want this like little slender ring. That could go to a copy. Where'd you go, copy sop? We might do 4 copies, and each iteration we might rotate. Let's rotate 45 and 45, and let's scale it down with each rotation. Great, now we've got this cool set of concentric rings in here. Or, oh, I know, let's not do a rotation, but let's translate it. Whoa, translate it up. And maybe we do like 8 instead. That's super psychedelic and weird looking. I love it. Whoa, too much. Come on down. Ah, yeah. I'm going to turn off that adaptive homing. It makes me crazy. Sorry, derivative. I love you. Just not adaptive homing. Okay. Now, if we bump this goober right into our point sop, sure enough, this is also very lovely. Got a lovely set of textures on here. Oh, yeah. Rad. So rad. We might have to back our camera up just a little bit so we can see all this. Oh, or we could turn down the scale. Right, so it's another kind of like wild kind of look here. This becomes fun also. Maybe we turn down the definition on our torus, but we instead add a facet. So let's actually, unique points, compute normals. We'll have this like lovely faceted texture, our behavior. We need to make sure this is a polygon. All right, great. This will be much more quartz-like. the way that it looks, right? We could scoot our copy over, plug this into our copy, right? Rad. Scoot everybody over just a smidge. And now we're going to start to get some of these faces will start to show up just a little bit more. And in fact, if we continue to push on our Fong's shininess, right, we can find the right balance of bounce off that face to get what we really want. Ooh, yeah. And now we have something that's starting to look a little bit more dimensional, a little closer to that kind of fun, wild, crazy kind of displacement. And the harder we push on this, right, the weirder it gets. Maybe these rotate on their way up also. It's like some kind of weird wizard's hat or tornado. I don't know. You pick which it is. Right, the more bizarre and goofy it gets. And again, we could use this world technique where we're using the world that this object actually lives in. So if you were out shooting with a spherical camera, or you had your theta that you were actually recording the world with, you could actually think about how do you capture the world, bring it in here, and use it for either reflections or refractions. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit so we can really kind of see how playful that is. And there you have it. There's a look at how you can start to do some fake refraction and continue to play with these kind of like tricksy and clever ways that you can fool the eye and pull off a little bit of mischief and illusion in your rendering. All right, happy programming, everybody. Hope you have fun and find some interesting, fun things to do with this tricksy approach. Later.